Bring in immigration attorney Rahul Manchan. And Rahul, are you surprised when the administration, they were supposed to reunify 2,500 by this day? They've only done about 1,000, so more than half still haven't been reunified?
Yeah, this is a bloodbath. It's a tragedy of untold proportions. The reality is, the categories of why they can't reunify them are immense. Some of them have been deported already. Some of them, apparently are not eligible for unification, whatever that means. It's a gray term devised by Homeland Security. Some of them, may have criminal records. Some of them may be deceased. Some of them aren't even in the federal system. So it's a tragic of epic proportions, and it's just a horrible gift that keeps on giving on a negative level.
So for these families that you just described, how long could it still take?
Well, that's the issue. I mean, nobody really knows. It's sort of haphazard. I think District Judge Dana Sabra has been absolutely heroic in this regard. But the problem is that they've missed the deadlines, and July 10th, I believe it was, for children under 5. It's a Herculean task to get these people together again, and it may not even ever happen. The reality is that it's an open-ended, asymptotical question. It might not ever happen completely.
Is part of the problem because when they were first separated, there was not a system of keeping track of identities and where people were going, and therefore when they tried to put this all back together, it was nearly impossible?
Absolutely, and one of the arguments here, and one of the issues that the Trump administration talked about is that this began before his administration. This happened during the J. Johnson DHS under Obama. There's arguments that may or may not be true, that some of the cases have been going on for many, many years. So this is a real catch-up for the Trump administration, because now they've got a district judge giving them deadlines. And there's also an issue, the ACLU right now is suing, but the judge has asked them to devise certain punishments or consequences, and so far they haven't done anything in terms of maybe even a contempt motion, for example.
But what does it mean exactly when the government skips a deadline? Is there any sort of accountability?
Well, I think that the issue here is more the fear factor that the judge is trying to, gave them 30 days. This is such a,
But there has to be fear of something.
Correct, and I think that the only weapon with any teeth is a contempt motion, theoretically, which could be civil or criminal sanctions. But again, I mean, I think that the Trump administration would just probably indemnify themselves by bringing in the Obama administration, members of DHS from J. Johnson et al. So this is a massive a scandal of epic proportions. I don't really think the ideology is the Trump administration. I really think it has to do with a far-flung policy that's been going on for a lot of years. So.
Is there any recourse for these, 400 kids who may not see their parents again? Their parents have already been deported. They're here in the United States, presumably with foster families or relatives. I mean, what's left for them?
Well, a lot of them are in shelters, but again, these are families that may or may not ever be reunited. Some of their parents are dead. Some of them are deceased. Some of them are deported already. Some of them, we can't find them anymore. So the end result of this is probably not going to be very pleasant. It's not going to be a zero-sum situation where everybody's placed again. This is going to go on for decades, and this is going to be a wound that festers and bleeds, and it's certainly going to be a political issue for the Democrats and the Republicans. It's going to be a hot potato, people throwing it back and forth. It's your fault, it's my fault, that kind of thing. So it's really kind of, it's kind of bipartisan at this point as a problem.
Are there some parents who would rather be deported without their children, maybe in order to save them, let them live a better life?
That's a great question, and I did read about that. Some of these parents are completely selfless. They've said that, we'll leave the country. We'll take voluntary departure, which is it's sort of a remedy that judges can create an immigration court with consent of DHS counsel. They can agree to voluntarily deport themselves. But at the same time, they're saying, well, we're going to give up our kids, let them become quote unquote Americans and grow up here without their parents. It's incredibly tragic what's happening right now.
Well, Rahul Manchan, Rahul, immigration attorney, thanks so much for coming in. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Still ahead.